My name is Seva. I am the Civil Engagement Lead at Algorand Foundation. And here is my wonderful colleague, Joe.
Hey, thanks for talking to me, I guess. I guess we gotta do it on
Nice.
the camera now. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. So, before I meet with my friend, we were hearing you about your career, your growth that you had, and what got you into Algorand. But now, the future of Algorand is brilliant, and I can see many things coming. And one of the things that I would like to talk about is AlgoKit.
Mm-hmm.
What is AlgoKit, and why we are building that, and how do you see the future of the development experience into Algorand?
Yeah, so AlgoKit is really just like we have an AlgoKit command line tool, but AlgoKit is really just the catch-all for like the Algorand developer experience. So basically what we want to happen is anytime you build on Algorand, the way you do it, no matter what you're doing, is through AlgoKit. And really the goal of AlgoKit is to make development approachable for all sorts of devs, in particular like Web 2 devs that may not be, like blockchain degens and understand the technology. Because I think a big focus for us as a foundation is to attract, the Web 2 developers, and in particular, attract people that have a compelling product without blockchain and can use blockchain to make it even better. And what AlgoKit is doing is basically we're looking at really successful Web 2 models, Web 2 tools, and we're thinking how we can best translate that and apply that to the blockchain in Algorand. For example, one of the most popular frameworks for building a website is React, and they have a tool called Create React App, and you run that single command and it generates you a project with hundreds of files that does exactly what you need it to do. And in AlgoKit, we have AlgoKit Init, which does exactly that. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible to build on blockchain and just remove all those barriers. Because historically, I think for every blockchain, but Algorand in particular, it's been really hard for developers to come in, because not only do you have to think in a different way because you're using this different technology, but you have to learn a new language and learn a new SDK and learn a new library and learn how to set up Docker and all this complicated stuff where individually they're not hard, but when you try to do everything all at once and you get blasted with a ton of new information, as a developer can be really hard, especially where a lot of the developers we want to talk to are university students where they're exposed to new technology every single day. And if they spend 5 minutes with technology and have one bad experience, they're just going to move on to the next. So for me and for the foundation as a whole, it's just all about removing those points of friction so people can use the technology without being hindered by all this other stuff that you need to actually leverage it.
Wow, that is incredible. Well, I had the opportunity to show you in the first person, the hands-on that you just shared on the Hacker Mansion, and it was absolutely incredible. I almost thought that I could start really coding by myself, just clicking few things. I mean, that is amazing. Another thing that I would like to touch point is you are the creator of TEALscript. You are actually the first one that welcomed that language. So why? I mean, how that got into your mind to build TEALscript, and now being one of the most common languages that we can build on top of Algorand?
Yeah. I mean, for me it was. So, like I was saying earlier, I got into Algorand just by doing it in my free time. So my perspective coming into it has always been as a builder. I understood what the experience was like. And when I first got into Algorand, the way you would build contracts was a Python library called PyTeal. And PyTeal, at the time, early days of Algorand, PyTeal was really powerful because Algorand was pretty simple. It didn't have smart contracts the way that we know them today. So the way you had to write your logic on Algorand was pretty simple. But now as the chains got more complex, there's more things you can do with Algorand. PyTeal started becoming kind of like a barrier for me as a developer. And one of the first things I actually did in terms of like developing on Algorand was I tried to improve PyTeal to make the experience better. And in doing that, I realized like the reasons why PyTeal was built the way it was, and like why we kind of need like a fresh start to really do the next iteration of the developer experience. And TEALscript is, what I've been working on most recently, but even before TEALscript, I was working on another language based in Ruby, which is another, it's not nearly as popular as like TypeScript or Python, but it's like another Web 2 language. And really the goal has always just been to like meet developers where they're at. And I felt like PyTeal wasn't that, but as a developer myself using PyTeal, I could kind of envision how we could get there.
Yeah.
And so with TEALscript, I started like, instead of writing TEALscript, I started writing what I wanted a contract to look like in TEALscript, and then just figured out how to make that work. And just focused on the developer experience first, and then figured out how to make the tech work after that.
Wow, that's amazing. And now, well, I am a non-technical person. I am the community leader. So if you had to explain how to start building a real project on Algorand, how would you start explaining that? Yeah,
I mean, one sentence is, or two words really, AlgoKit in it. But kind of the elaboration on that is like, AlgoKit is like a very simple tool to download. You can download it through pipx, and through that you can run AlgoKit init, which gets you started like that project that has all the files in place where you need them to be. And then from there, once you want to learn how to actually start building, we have a lot of educational resources in various different formats. So the one that I first got started on was our developer portal.
Yeah.
This is where we have all of our documentation, not just on like how to write code, but just like what is Algorand, like how does the chain work, how does consensus work. So that's a really great resource. And then we also have boot camps, and the boot camps has been one of the best ways for people to learn, in particular because the Algorand developer experience has been so fast paced and changing a lot, that the boot camps are often the most like bleeding edge of what we have to offer. So we have a existing boot camp right now on our YouTube channel, beginner and intermediate for TEALscript. And then this coming March, we'll be doing a new boot camp on TEALscript. So there will be some changes in TEALscript that from the old boot camp that won't work anymore. So we're going to be updating that content, and then also doing content for Python as well, which is basically everything I've said about TEALscript, but just in Python. And that's, the long-term vision is that if you're coming onto Algorand and you want to build a smart contract, you just, what do you like better, Python or TypeScript? And you can start building. So in the next couple of months, we'll have a ton of content on the YouTube in addition to our developer portal. That is also getting like a huge revamp as well. So those are kind of like the main two resources. And then of course, like our Discord is where like myself, the whole DevRel team, even some of like the technology engineers and researchers where they hang out. So that's like if you want the rawest, most up-to-date stuff, that's where you got to go.
Wow. Really, I am very surprised with all the things that we are building. I mean, we can be talking here like for hours, but one of the things like I am pretty excited about Algorand is the changes that we are hoping to have this year. We have consensus certification, we have the peer-to-peer gossip network, so much, and how the infrastructure of Algorand will change this year with all these innovative solutions that we're bringing up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of the easiest one to talk about is going to peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
This is something that, currently Algorand has the network topology uses relays. So you have a bunch of different nodes running consensus, but they all communication between those nodes goes through a smaller subset of nodes. Yeah. And this is often, in those nodes they're more expensive to run. They handle more traffic. and currently they're like subsidized by a program through the foundation. So this is a very common criticism of Algorand, that the network is more centralized than it needs to be. So switching over to the peer-to-peer is basically going to eliminate the need for relays. They'll still exist if you want faster transactions, but getting rid of those, I mean, it's a very clear win in terms of like decentralization. And the goal is some earlier changes that we made to our network, dynamic lambdas, which allow the round times to kind of adjust to the network, fit really well with peer-to-peer. Because with peer-to-peer, you have, there can be different, like more diversity in who's running those nodes. So the network being able to adjust to that is really important. So that's a really exciting one. And then the node incentives, I think, is going to be probably the biggest change in terms of like the overall ecosystem. So just like outside of the fact that we expect, more people to run nodes because they can make money off of it, node incentives also introduces opportunities for like block proposers to offer like MEV. And we see like MEV itself has like a whole ecosystem in like Ethereum, for example.
Absolutely.
Where you have like whole networks like flash bots that are all focused on MEV and
economy. Yeah,
exactly. It's its own like microeconomy. And as you, in general, in anything, but especially in blockchain, as you have more financial opportunities, you have more people coming in interested in the chain. And it'll be really interesting to see, how that shapes the ecosystem. Yeah. I think, particularly in the short term, it will be really beneficial, and we'll see a lot more people that, didn't really see value in Algorand before, just as a pure like financial opportunity. Can now see these more interesting opportunities, especially as it's young, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities to like figure out what the best way to make money as a block proposer is, and that sort of stuff. So I think that would be a really cool shift, not only in like the network, but just like the ecosystem and DeFi and everything. So that would be cool. Yeah,
and empowering decentralization, the nodes, and having like a community of projects participating in all this sort of decentralization and nodes and validating blocks and transactions and everything. So I think it's super cool, the future of Algorand.
Yeah.
And now the thing we're a killer blockchain is because we have instant finality. Could you explain what is this?
Yeah, so instant finality, like you said, it's like kind of the killer feature of Algorand. And basically what this means is that on other chains, like Ethereum, for example, you can have the network, basically everyone is coming up with their own proposal for what the next block should be. Yeah. And there's no guarantee that, if you have two people proposing blocks, there's no guarantee that they're proposing a block on the same chain. And so what can end up happening is that I could send a transaction and it's included in a block on some chains, but not all the different chains. More realistically, it's just a different order rather than being included or not. But the bottom line is that the nature of your transaction is kind of, or the result of your transaction is kind of unknown until the network figures out which chain is the one that ultimately wins. And I don't know, that it's a pretty complicated algorithm to figure out how that is. But it's basically, you just got to wait like, I think the recommended is like 6-7 rounds, which, as a user, like maybe buying NFT, like no big deal, I can wait a little bit. But as you start to think of more of these real world solutions, especially if you're working with a company like MasterCard or Visa, where you're on the line for money, and that money's got to be, they don't care if the chain change, right? So what instant finality means is that chain can't change. So on Algorand, once a block is added to the chain, it can never go back. And so this is really important because on Ethereum, like we've talked to a lot of companies that have built on Ethereum before and are working with like traditional finance, and they have to have all this crazy infrastructure and logic accounting for the fact that you can have reorgs and transactions can get reversed and all this stuff. And whereas on Algorand, as soon as you get a confirmation that it's in the blockchain, you know that it's in the blockchain, right?
Exactly.
You know it's not going anywhere. And that's something that like can't be understated. And even like projects like, you have a project like AgroToken where they have farmers using like a Visa card, and if you
has
just
to
can't
be
have
fast, secure, and scalable. And no, like the one of the most important characteristics that instant finality has at the moment is just it. I mean, to just have the transaction, there is no way back, there is no forking, there is nothing happening around. So I mean, in Algorand, you just have everything. We have decentralization. You have like a developer kit. You have the tools. You have the instant finality. You have the scalability. So I think like the future of Algorand is brilliant. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of funny to talk about, because it's like, if you explain blockchain to someone that doesn't know blockchain, they would expect it to work the way that Algorand works.
Yeah.
But most other chains don't. And so, you know, one thing that like John in particular likes saying, John Woods, our CTO, is that it's like fit for purpose. And I think that's super true. Like, it's exactly what blockchain needs to be. And it's why, you know, Algorand currently and in the future is like really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. It's out of all the noise that we can see in crypto, out of all the volatility, out of all the speculation, is real world assets. It's like a solid future, solid community. We have students, we have developers, we have everything. So now we have Decipher coming soon. So what can we wait on Decipher?
Yeah, Decipher is going to be really cool this year. I mean, Decipher has always been great because, you know, you can get together with people that you know online and see them in person. That's always been great about Decipher, like even each but this year at Decipher, we're really focusing on the builders and really focusing on curating like an intimate experience where we can talk to these projects that we know are invested in Algorand and help them scale, and not just from like a technology perspective, but also like if they need help with like business development or they need help with like legal stuff, like providing that
support and that what they need to grow.
Yeah, exactly. And like from a technology perspective, because we're curating this for like builders in our ecosystem, we can have like, normally at an event like Decipher, we have pretty like entry level talks, which are really great because it, you know, teaches people. But now we can have the kind of next level talks and really talk about like the future of the protocol, and have like roundtables about like how are we going to do like incentivizations and, you know, that sort of stuff, and talk about even the more like technical stuff that would go on a roadmap, like stuff like account abstraction and like figuring out how do we handle opt-ins and, you know, all this stuff that we really need people in the ecosystem to give us feedback, so we know we know as an ecosystem where we need to take it. And Decipher will be kind of the place to do that this year, so it'll be exciting.
Builders gonna build.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited. Well, Decipher will be 26th and 27th of June in Barcelona. I mean, beautiful city. I mean, tapas, beer. I mean, what else can we wait? So, I mean, now like wrapping up everything, like how do you see Algorand this year? Because 2 years is maybe too far. We don't know what's going to happen next month. But how do you see Algorand in a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Algorand is going to start getting in the zeitgeist more, because I think, you know, we're all kind of anticipating this bull run coming up. And I think leading up to that, one of the things, you know, just passively reading Twitter, you see a lot of things like real world assets. And I think Algorand, we have a lot of stuff, exciting stuff for real world assets, but in general, like real world solutions. And I think, you know, Algorand, we've been kind of ahead of the game in terms of that. So I think we have a really strong narrative this year in terms of the solutions on Algorand. And a lot of that is because of things like AlgoKit and the network changes that we're making. So yeah, this year is going to be a really, really exciting year for Algorand. And I already know there's a couple of solutions that I'm personally really looking forward to coming. So yeah, it'll be a good year.
Oh, that's so amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you very much, Joe, for answering all my questions and everything. Well, and thank you very much to all the community that are hearing us. You already know you can follow us, Algo Foundation, Algorand Technologies, Algo Devs. Please follow Algo Devs. Stay updated of everything. And yeah, the Discord, Telegram, we are everywhere. So don't miss the chance to meet Joe Polny on Decipher. And yeah, we are welcome.